So let's solve for x here. We know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared because the Pythagorean theorem, the Pythagorean law, tells us so. The legs here are going to be x squared plus 8 squared equals 16 squared. If I get my calculator, that'll be x squared plus 64 equals 16 times 16, I want to say is 256. Now let's get x alone. Let's subtract 64 from both sides. So x squared is 256 minus 64 is 192. So let's take the square root of both sides. So x equals the square root of 192. I'm going to type that in my calculator to see if that's irrational or is that a perfect square. So if I hit on my calculator, here's Desmos. So square root of 192, watch this, square root of 192. It's irrational. Notice I'll have to approximate, it'll be about 13.9 to the nearest tenth. It's an infinite decimal. But I'm not going to, on assignment 34, I don't want infinite decimals. I don't want you to approximate. I want you to give me the exact answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out which perfect square fits into 192. A factor times another factor that make up 192, making sure one of the factors is a perfect square. So remember my perfect squares from this morning, square root of 4, square root of 9, and so on, square root of 16, square root of 25. Which one of these are factors of, these are perfect squares, which one of these are factors of 192? Well, let me use my calculator. Let's hit 192 divided by 4. Let's see if that works. Watch. So I'm going to hit 192. 192 divided by 4. 48. Notice that. I get a hit. It's exactly 48. So 4 is a factor of 192, and 4 is a perfect square. Watch. So 192 is the same as 4 times 48. Notice how 4 is a perfect square. So watch this now. So x then is going to be the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 48. Once I make the two factors, I go ahead and separate them into their own square roots. So x then is going to be square root of 4. That's a perfect square. That becomes 2. So 2 times the square root of 48. This is a simplified version, but 48 can still be simplified even further, because 48 also has perfect square factors. There's a factor here there's a number here for the perfect square list that's a factor of 48. 16 times 3. Notice 16 goes into 48. Let me verify it with my calculator. Watch. 16 divided by 48. 16 divided by, oh no, 48 divided by 16, man, my bad. So 48 divided by 16, there it is, okay, 3 times. So, watch this. 16 is a factor of 48, so I can rewrite 48 as this. Watch this. 16 times 3. If a perfect square can fit in the number, you got to keep simplifying until you can't simplify anymore. Watch this. X then is equal to 2 times the square root of 16. I'm separating them now. Times the square root of 3. Stay with me, Franklin. So x equals 2 times square root of 16. Well, that becomes 4 times rad 3. So my final answer now is, look at normal number times normal number, 2 times 4, and that's going to be 8. times the square root of 3. Here's what x is. So if I don't want an approximate answer, I want a simplified square root answer. That's the moral of the story right now. Question so far? Let's try number 5. Copy number 5 down on your notes. Right, sit down. Number 5, right? Come on. Remember, your stamps mean a lot. When I show you your grade, those stamps count as 30% of your grade, and you can see your grade going up or down depending on how many stamps you have. Right now, you should be taking notes, phone away, so you can get that stamp. That's your productivity participation grade. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Let's do it. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Cisneros, what are my 2 legs here? What and 9? Perfect. The 2 sides that make up the right angle are my legs, so that's going to be my A and B. Here we go. So 40 squared plus 9 squared is equal to x squared. So x would be the hypotenuse in this case. Alright, so 40 to the second power is a gargantuan number.
1,600.
Thank you. 1,600 plus 81. 9 times 9 is 81. We're good to go. So 1,681, right, equals x squared. Take the square root, both sides, so I have x then equals the square root of 1,681.
681 is 41.
So this is a perfect square. So the first thing you want to do is see if it's a perfect square. What is a 1,681 perfect square? Let's see, 1,681 square root. And it's perfectly 41. Nice. We don't have to do any work. It's exactly 41. That was easy. That happened every now and then. You'll get a perfect square. So this side, the hypotenuse, ended up being 41. 41 units long. Question so far? One more. No más. Example 6. Go and copy that rectangle down. Right, Rodriguez? Yeah. Go and copy the rectangle down. So we got a rectangle sliced in half by a diagonal. Notice that. So the mission is solve for x. You know, as we're watching the World Cup, if you've ever played soccer, trick of the trade. If you have a soccer ball and a defender is defending you, if a defender is defending you and you have a soccer ball, a tactic that you use is a distractor. So if I have the ball and Sedon's guarding me, if I have the ball and I look this way, I'm trying to distract him, thinking to cause him to think that I'm going to pass it that way, but I'll pass it that way. That's a distractor. This problem has a distractor. The question is solve for x, but what's the distraction here? How is this problem trying to distract you away from the goal? Right, so you have a rectangle. The person who wrote this problem is trying to think, okay, maybe now it's a rectangle, somehow it's going to distract you from solving for x and using the knowledge you already have. Big deal, we have a rectangle. Do we have a right triangle anywhere? Is there a right triangle in the rectangle? You don't see it? Someone give the Casas a hug. It's going to be okay, the Casas. Do you see the right triangle, Rodriguez? There's two right triangles, huh? Right. There's this one, the green one on top, and there's one at the bottom. Take your pick. Which one do you want to use? Knock yourself out. It's just the same stuff. I'll put the other one in Dodger blue. There are two right triangles that are exactly the same dimensions. Because this side is 6, this side's 6 over here. That's the definition of a rectangle. If this side's 13, this side's 13. So pick whatever rectangle, or whatever triangle, I should say. Whatever triangle you want to use. I'll pick the blue one, because I'm a Dodger fan. Miss Munoz, what are my legs? On the blue one, or the green one. Right. They're the ones that make up the right angle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 6 and 13 are my legs. So it's 6 and 13. So 6 squared plus 13 squared is c squared. Talk to me. Should be x, huh? You're looking out, you're right. Not c, it's x. That's what we're trying to solve for. X squared. Here we go. So, 6 to the second power is going to be 36. 13 times 13 is under 69 equals x squared. I'm going to add 36 and 169. Let's see what I get. 36 plus 69, 205 equals x squared. Take the square root to get x alone, because x is not alone yet. So x equals the square root of 205. Let's not get all happy, though. We got to simplify square root of 205. Question so far? So the question is, does 4 fit into 205? That's a perfect square. Is that a factor of 205? Is 9? Is 16? Is 25? Is 36? These. I'm looking at these to see if it's a factor of 205. This way I can simplify it. So let me do the first one. So 205 divided by 4? No. 204 divided by 9? Or 205 divided by 9? Let's see. Nope. 205 divided by 16? Nah. 205 divided by 25? No. 205 divided by 36? Let's see. Nope. Next one's 49. 205 divided by 49? Negative. 205 divided by 64? Nope. 205 divided by 81. I bet you that's the one. Nope. Last one. Once you get to halfway, look at 100 is about half of 205. Stop. There is nothing. 100 doesn't go into 205 evenly, so we're done. You can't break it down. You can't break it down. So x equals the square root of 205. So sometimes the moral of the story for this example, sometimes you can't break it down. There is no perfect squares. It's already simplified. You can't simplify it anymore.
We don't get 78.
We could give an approximate if the question calls for it. But here, we're going exact. Good question. We could give the approximate, but we're not going to do that for now. I'm done. Use the rest of your time wisely. Continue.